Cutback for Vasilev and Lukic! A banger of a strike for Jovan Lukic's first MLS goal!
It's fallen out to Westfield! Oh, wow! He's nearly taken the roof of the net off! Philadelphia pounce again!
Who gets his goal in his Union debut? The record signing! Off and running in his first appearance for the club!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to our first official post-game show of the 2026 Union season. Our AAT Sports brothers are using the network for their other show, so we had to hop on Todd Lewis's platform tonight. So this is AAT Sports being hosted by the Free Kick Pod. I doesn't have the same intro as Todd's. I'm sorry. Well, doesn't sound as good for me. But Jose, a lot to be happy about tonight. The Union have a 5-0 win over Defense Force in Trinidad. What's your first impression about tonight? And we'll get into the lineup, which has a lot to talk about.
Yeah, a lot of interesting points to this game in terms of seeing two very important players to this team sort of get off to a hot start, and Alado and Damiani. Seeing young Kevin Sullivan, who I think is a pretty good topic of conversation for today as well, go on and really look the part. But should he have really been on the field at that point? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
And ultimately, seeing a Frankie Westfield drop a dime with his off foot to the head of said Alado. So a lot of really, really good stuff, but also can't lose track that this is Defense Force of Trinidad and Tobago, not one of the strongest leagues, certainly not the strongest team that they will play all year, but official match. So it counts for all the metrics that they have to hit. So good to see.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about a team that went through a significant overhaul over the offseason, how are they going to perform in their first game together? Obviously, the lineup was different today, and we're going to get to that in a couple of seconds. But if they had gone down there and had a 1-0, 2-0 result, you would have had a bad overall conversation tonight. But the fact that you walk out there with the score that you're expecting, I know I posted online that I wanted 6-0, but you wanted to see a throttling. You wanted to see a dominant performance tonight, 4-0, 5-0, etc. But before we even get to the scores and the games itself, let's look at the lineup tonight. So we have, I had it on FOTMob, and then I lost FOTMob. So give me 1 second here. We had Andrew Rick in net, which I was fine. I wasn't too worried about that. Nathan Harrell and McCanya were the center backs. Westfield was at left back. Raffanello, the surprise start at right back. For the midfield, you had Bueno and Danley Jean-Jacques in the middle, Iloski and Bedoya as your attacking mids, and then you had Stas, my first time pronouncing this name, Korzanowski. I think that was okay. And Ezekiel Alado.
Yep.
I mean, I know the big one here right now is Raffanello, but what were your thoughts on the starting 11?
Totally fine. Benicio, come here, give me a kiss then. Totally fine lineup. I think it was cool to see Rick kind of, get off to a hot start, and got a couple of texts ahead of the game. Hey, buddy, I love you. Everybody, say bye to everybody. Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Go to bed. It's good to see Rick starting to get this time. As I was saying, had a couple of players outside of MLS text me and saying, wow, it's great to see Rick get some time, especially some that noticed, you weren't kidding, Jose. He can distribute the ball. He should be playing more. He should be doing that. It's like, yeah, I'm aware, man. he should be getting a lot more time. So happy to see Rick.
I was happy to see Rick too. I was on the Designated Pundits show with our friend Bob Vermiglia, and he was asking me ahead of the season, who's a player that you think could regress? And I said, I don't know if he will regress, but I did say that if there was a plateau in a player, I would view that as a regression. And the player I mentioned was Jeremy Raffanello. And I thought this season was a big one for him. He's obviously been around with this club for, I think, 3 years now, maybe 4, if my math is correct. He's always been that late sub, the last-minute person off the bench. Really never found an exact home in terms of position. We thought he was an attacking mid. We thought he was a defensive mid. So today he gets placed in right back, and I thought he did fine. I mean, were they overly tested tonight? No. Did he make any crucial mistakes? None that I saw. I thought he was involved. I thought he was good with his passes. But it just shows you another example of Carnell using his players in a whole different bunch of ways. So I'm glad that Rafinha got the start. I think it's good minutes for him, especially against a weaker side like Defense Force. But I thought he did fine. Another player that I enjoyed to see in the starting lineup tonight was Jesus Bueno. Again, a player that we said he got that extension, I think, was it now 2.5 years ago, Jose, right? Or a little 2.5 years ago.
Feels that way.
Yeah, nothing ever came of it. He kind of just rode the bench, was that super sub for defensive standpoint at times, but never had that breakout role that we saw in Leagues Cup. So to see him start tonight was good, but I thought actually Bueno was really involved. I thought he was involved from the moment that the whistle started to the end of the game. You love to see that from him, considering he's going to be fighting for minutes all season. So he got his chance, had a strong performance. And then of course Stas and Alado. I mean, those are the two guys who really had their big debuts today. What were your thoughts on either Raffanello and Bueno, but particular Stas and Alado getting the significant minutes and opportunity?
Tell you what, why don't I bring friend of the show, part show person, Ben Brecher into the fold. He
He is.
Give us his opinions on the players you just asked.
What's up, Ben?
It's going pretty well. How about yourself?
Pretty good. I was just talking to Jose about these players that we weren't expecting tonight: Raffanello, Bueno, Stas, and Alado. So I'm going to ask you, what were your thoughts on those four players in particular, but specifically Stas and Alado?
Yeah, I thought coming into the game, we would look to play more direct, obviously having two of our bigger strikers up top. And yeah, I have to say I'm very impressed with what I saw from both of them, especially Stas, because in the preseason, it looked like Alado. That's what he was used to, hold up play like that. And yeah, it looked really good. But I like how also Stas and Alado both dropped off at times, kind of dropped into the midfield at times. And yeah, got the ball, was able to play with Bueno and Danley and everyone else in the middle. But yeah, I thought two really, really good games, a really good game from both of those players. But yeah, Stas definitely one to watch in the second leg, because I'm sure he'll get another chance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jose. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't imagine, and maybe we'll talk about it later, but predicted lineup, not for Saturday. I'm not too concerned about Saturday. I have a good idea of what's going to happen on Saturday at DC. I'm super intrigued about what lineup goes out at Subaru Park on next Thursday, because there's genuinely no reason for some of these players to play outside of just being ready on the bench to come in and maybe settle the game down should it go haywire.
Absolutely. Some of the comments coming up. Lord of Olympia joins us. Missed the match. Thoughts on the starting lineup. Jose and I had mentioned, Ben, we feel pretty good about this lineup. It's a game against a weaker opponent. This is still a team trying to blend together and find chemistry together. We've talked about this all off season long. This is probably the deepest Union side we've ever seen. Did you have any thoughts on the lineup when you first saw it, besides the players we've already talked about?
Yeah, I mean, my first initial thought was in the back line. I thought Bedoya was going to take over that right back spot, like we saw.
Hold on, guys. You guys carry on. I gotta step away.
No problem. We got you.
Yeah, but I thought Bedoya was going to take over that right back spot, like we saw last year, which I got a lot of mixed opinions on that one. Obviously, off that 7-0 thrashing at Vancouver last year, where he was at left back. But yeah, I mean, saw Andrew Rick in net, feel like it's deserved, going to be a big year for him. And then in the back line, I kind of noticed that. I remember a couple of years ago, Jim Curtin had a quote where he was like, when he rotated teams, he was always going to try to leave at least 5 starters on the field. So I kind of saw that. I think Bedoya was a perfect fit for this game, for veteran leadership, obviously, but it's the type of game where Defense Force, they're going to try to stretch you out wide, but the majority is going to be over the top and through the middle with Kevin Molino, as many MLS fans probably know him. But yeah, I thought it was a really good lineup. It made sense for me to give Olaski and Alado some minutes, obviously trying to get some chemistry, but also it's really important to get them some confidence. Having Alado, Bruno, and Milan Olaski all be involved in goals and stuff is really good to start the season. So yeah, that's definitely something else I took away from it.
Yeah, let's look at the 5 goals we scored tonight. We had Milan Lasky scored in the 29th minute off a really nice set piece from him. Ezekiel Alado in the 32nd minute off, like as I mentioned online, a Kai Wagner-esque left-footed cross from Frankie Westfield. He gets a header for his first Union goal in the 32nd minute. Macania, we have high expectations for Macania. I know our friend Quentin Hall, who helps us out here at AAT Sports, he had a nice piece on Macania, trying to take that next step in his career. He had a goal in the 64th minute off a header right off a Milanowski corner.
Yep.
Bruno Damiani had a brace. The 69th and 81st minute was a penalty for the 81st minute goal. Now, I think you bring up a good point in terms of getting these players on the score sheet right away. I think what we saw last year with Bruno Damiani was he scored in his first game against Orlando City, and then he kind of just went quiet for a long stretch. We had instance where Barrera started out red hot and then went quiet for the back half of the season. So to see Alado involved, to see him go up for a head like that was awesome. For me personally, what I liked the most about these goals was the fact that we were scoring them off set pieces. It wasn't just our guys running, having a track race out there against a weak opponent. They really went up and got those goals. I thought, considering what we saw last year on set pieces, it's good to see it carry over to this season. I'm sure you can agree with that as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, a ton of success last season off set pieces. I think we were second in the league behind Minnesota on set pieces. But yeah, it's great. I think the Macania header was really one of our best ones.
Nice.
I mean, he's been doing that so far this season. I think that's his 3rd goal if you count preseason, where he had 2 headers as well. So that's really good to see. And yeah, I thought obviously the Milanowski free kick, that's what the Union are going to need from him this year. Exactly. And I'm going to stand by that. He's the number 10 of this team now. We're going to need him to create moments of magic like that really good finish on the free kick.
And you mentioned again, in our season preview article, I know you highlighted Milanowski, but you made it pretty crystal clear he is going to have to be the playmaker for this team, and the coaching staff are going to expect him to step up, and he has to expect that from himself too. A couple comments here. Now, by the way, guys, since I did not start the studio, Jose did, but Jose's not with us, so I can't put the comments on the screen. So I'm just going to read them on the side here. But T.O. some long name says Aldo was great. I didn't see much of Stas other than his offside. Valerie asks a question. Do we have any idea of who's going to be in DC? We'll get to DC in a couple minutes. Drew says, I feel the team needs to take a look at PK taker. Damiani's take looked a lot like the one we that was saved against the Red Bulls last year. Again, I think we'll get there in a couple minutes. I want to talk about the first half a bit more. But again, the comments are coming in. I appreciate you guys joining the conversation. So in the first 20 minutes for me, I was a bit antsy. Like, I knew we were going to win this game, or at least had a lot of confidence we were going to win this game, but they hadn't scored in the first, 25 some minutes. And I was like, come on, guys, don't. And there was one instance early, I think in the 20th minute, maybe 15th minute. I know our friend Joe mentions it here. Alejandro Bedoya was just alone in the box, and he just passes it across. So for me, I was getting antsy in the first 25 minutes, but I thought overall they looked okay. I thought the ref let them play a lot, which was nice. The cards didn't really come till the second half. But in the first 20 minutes, I was a little antsy. I don't know if you felt that way too, if you were just confident, kind of waiting it out.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was definitely antsy. Coming into every match, I'm nervous. Really, no matter the opponent. But yeah, I definitely noticed that Bedoya play in the box. That's really what we do best, actually, and especially Bedoya, the little touches in the box. He does the small things right. But yeah, it's the same thing that has hurt the Union for years now. It's the one too many passes. We saw less of it last year, but in years prior, there'd be one too many passes in the box before taking a shot, which definitely happened at least a couple times in this game. But yeah, a little antsy definitely in the first half, but it's very good that the Union then found their groove and returned to a good style play.
I think you actually bring up a good point with the lack of shooting. So I remember, for people who watch the press conferences as much as we do, Jim Curtin had a big word, bravery. He used to say bravery a lot. This team needs to be braver. They need to be, have more confidence in their attack. And you would have games where they just would not shoot, or they would just be reluctant to shoot and have 10 passes before they actually pull off a shot. To your point about Milanowski being that playmaker, we also need someone to step up in Quinn Sullivan's place. Because last year you had Quinn and Milan playing. They're both aggressive players. They both want to shoot. Milan cannot be the only one who takes a shot from wherever on the field. whether that's Alado, whether that's Stas. I know Stas had that shot that got sent out for a corner again in the first half, but someone definitely has to go and be the brave one out there. We cannot carry what we've had in the last couple of years where they sometimes just get afraid of themselves and they just can't let themselves go and have attempts on goal. So the first half goes through. Really quick, did you listen to the game as well, the audio?
Yes, I did. It
Okay,
was
I know.
very CONCACAF.
Valerie mentions it earlier. I know Jose posted a tweet. So apparently, I know it was Mardi Gras and like Ash Wednesdays today.
Yeah.
I guess in Trinidad, it's a big deal for them down there. It's a big holiday. So the commentator had mentioned it's been 2 days of fornication, and then they went to church, and we're all like, what did he say? So I don't know. What were your thoughts on the announcers? I felt like he also got the names wrong, and he also got the ages wrong like crazy. Oh, I think I lost Ben. I think he's frozen. Oh, I got you. Okay, we got you now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're frozen. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, my thoughts on the announcer. I actually listened to him a bit yesterday. I forget what game he was on. I think it was not. I don't think it was the LAFC one, but one of the games yesterday in the CCC. And I think it was the Nashville one. I'm pretty sure. Listened to him. So, but I actually thought he did jokes aside, a really good job with the game. Obviously, being the only commentator, but he definitely said some very funny stuff. I mean, towards the end of the game, he was calling Kevin Sullivan like Connor Sullivan or something like that. Yeah, I loved how he called Andrew Rick by his full name.
Andrew Rick Jr. Yeah, I heard that. Todd. Hey, Todd, we were just talking about the commentator. I know Jose was a big fan of the commentator tonight, but as Valerie mentioned, or Ben said rather, it was very CONCACAF-y in the broadcast. Todd, what were your thoughts on our one-man show today out there?
It was fine.
Very, very, HR approved answer there. Jose, anything from the press conference? I don't know if you were on that or not, or just any thoughts on the commentator in general.
No, I went to clean up throw up.
Oh, very nice. Dad duty
press conference.
Okay, what happened on the presser, Todd?
So terrible. The audio. I mean, if the recording isn't any better from CONCACAF, yeah, good luck transcribing anything that Bradley Cornell said. I literally don't know what he said. It was really bad.
Glad I didn't waste time then.
Yeah, Jillian says the audio on the press conference was bad. Again, very CONCACAF-y. But anyway, we were talking about the first half, kind of just going into things. We were talking about the first 25 minutes. There really wasn't much going on. It was we were kind of antsy there in that first 25 minutes. But once the goals start coming, we see Milanowski with a set piece. We see Alado with a header. I feel like one I want to talk about the most is the Alado header for the second goal. Todd, your thoughts on how Frankie played left back, but your thoughts on his distribution tonight, considering he's replacing a very significant player in Union history.
Yeah, I don't think it's any surprise to see the service from Frankie Westfield. I think last year we saw it. Now, granted, it was from the right back role and not left back last year, but I think we've known that Frankie has good service. If you watch Union 2, you know that he's played left back plenty of time down there, and I know that MLS Next Pro is definitely not CONCACAF Champions Cup, but I mean, this is who Frankie Westfield is, right? He's a hard tackler, a really good defender. I don't think he's at Nate's level yet as a 1v1 defender, but I would go as far as to say that I think Frankie Westfield probably has better service into the box than Nathan Harriel, and so wasn't shocked at all to see the service from Frankie into Alado for that header. I think maybe the one thing that did surprise me is the amount of time and space he had to go ahead and settle, lift his head, and then pick out the perfect cross. But my goodness, I mean, the scoreline definitely told you that there was a major difference. I mean, you go on transfer market and you look at the value of these two clubs, and it's not even close. The Union blow them out of the water, and on paper, I think we all knew that coming into this game, the Union were the better team. Now, could they go on to the field and execute? For sure. And I guess that's the thing I'm probably most surprised by is just the amount of space and time the Union had on the ball to lift their head and pick out a pass.
Yeah. Jose, any thoughts on Frankie or anything that Todd mentioned there with the space they had?
I feel like obviously my experience is nowhere near what Frankie has in terms of like play ball, but like I find myself with being a right footer that it's easier to cut in with from the left to the right and cross something in than it is
Sure.
to go from the right across your body into the box. So he certainly made good work of it. But even that assist was off of his left foot, which is even all that more impressive, right? So dual threat it feels like. So happy to see Francis have a good game. Uh, but to Todd's point, it was really, I don't know if it's fair to say disappointing, but interesting indeed that the Union had as much time as they did. Uh, I know you didn't ask about him, but I'm really intrigued onto how Stas settles into this team because it seems like he drops off so far low into the
Mhm.
middle, clogs things up to try to get a touch on the ball when in reality he should be there to stretch the field a little bit more. I'm really intrigued on how Cornell, whether he corrects that or adapts his game plan to make something out of it, because he is genuinely dropping into some spaces where that's where an Indiana Vasilev is. That's where a Milan Oloski is. There's no reason for you to be there.
That's exactly what we saw with Julian Carranza when he was with the Union. He would drop deep to get onto the ball. Daniel Gazlag, I know, and it seemed like when those two were on the field, both of them were dropping into the space and making the same runs into the box after dropping deep to get onto the ball, and they make those dashing runs into the box. So, I mean, to your point, Jose, I do wonder if that's something tactically that Cornell is telling him specifically, or at least one of the strikers, or if that's something, granted, it is the first game of the season, that gets corrected as the season goes on. It's a good point.
But in a way, I mean, what people said a lot last year was that Bariba would disappear and he wouldn't maybe necessarily do those things. So could you see it being, to your point, something that's Cornell's trying to emphasize? Like, yeah, we want to see more involvement from our strikers on the ball because we got to get this ball up the field into the final third. Ben, any thoughts on Stas there, on his movements? Hold on, as I fix my cat. 1 second.
Yeah, yeah, I thought starting obviously Stas with Alado up top, Stas was going to be the one to drop off. As we saw last season, it was really Damiani as the guy who actually dropped deeper to draw fouls and stuff like that and work back. So yeah, I expect first of all Alado he'll be the target 9. Damiani can also play target 9. That's what makes the offense really so flexible and everything. But yeah, I think I liked what I saw from Stas. I do think he dropped back and occupied space that wasn't really his at times, which hurt the Union in moments of transition. But
Yeah.
obviously, it's a learning point for him. First game of the season, really getting used to the guys around him, the play style. But yeah, I thought it was overall a pretty good game for him.
Definitely. So we get into the second half. We're up 2-0 at this point, I believe. McConaughey gets the goal for the 3 to make it 3-0. Now, I know Jacob Glessens has had his offensive moments throughout his time as a Union player. We didn't really see that from McConaughey much last season. I think towards the second half of last year, we saw McConaughey a bit more involved in the box on penalty kicks. But I love to see him go up and get the goal. But I think one interesting thing here in terms of the depth of this team is Nathan Harrell. I mean, obviously he's probably gonna be the right back over Raffanello more often than not. But I mean, Todd, I'll ask you first. Were you a little bit surprised not to see either Larson or Martinez starting, and Nathan there in their place, I should say?
Yeah, I think so, maybe a little bit. But during the broadcast, they had said that Jesus Bueno had visa issues.
Yep.
I had saw on Twitter that Jonathan Tannenwald had said Gainer Martinez also had visa issues and wasn't able to get to the country.
Okay.
So yeah, I do wonder if there was Olivier Biza wasn't available today either. I wonder if that was a visa issue. Again, the presser was so hard to understand, and so I don't think Biza was asked about. But yeah, I guess from that standpoint, yeah, a little bit surprised. But when things are out of your control, then I guess it makes sense.
I see. I didn't hear about Martinez, but they said Don Bueno had arrived around noon today and basically gets off the plane and then hops right into the lineup. But again, one person we want to talk about, Nathan Harrell, right now, Ben. Last year, he obviously saw time at center back. He saw time at right back. I've always said I like him better at center back. To Todd's point earlier, I think Frankie's crosses into the box either on the right or left, are better. What is your preference? I don't think I've ever asked you. Where would you rather see Nathan Harrell in this formation?
Yeah, it's tough actually because it's really game dependent. Obviously, he's this very strong skill set with winning headers. So if I guess the Union were playing a team that went more direct to a big target number 9, I would like him as I would honestly take him if you're doing a Union comparison, honestly over Jack Elliott. I think that if a long ball is pushed all the way up the field, I think Harriel's a better chance of winning it in the air than Jack Elliott,
Yeah.
even though there's a height difference. That's where I would like him in center back most, but I also do like him at right back if teams have a smaller forward like we may be seeing in DC on the weekend with Ty Baribo and their new DP striker Luis Muntianu as well. But yeah, it's really game dependent for me where Harriel is, but I thought it was the right choice to play him at center back this game.
Absolutely. I agree with that too. So the subs come on. Milan gets subbed in for Cavan, Harriel for Larson, Aldo for Bruno. Not long after we get the goal to make it 4-0. But I mean, Cavan, I think, was a hot topic tonight. And I thought he was very involved. He's 16 and a half now? I'm losing track of how old Cavan Sullivan is. But last year we saw him in so sporadically, and I never really thought he had a game where he stood out like, oh wow, he's really looks like someone who belongs to be here at such a young age. But I thought he was very involved tonight. I thought he had some really key plays. He's obviously a big contributor for the PK as well as the goal that leads to Damiani. Todd, what are your thoughts on Cavan tonight? I thought he looked good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Cavan looked pretty good, and to see him get his first official assist for his with the first team, pretty good, and in a big competition like CONCACAF Champions Cup. And yes, it may have been against a lesser opponent, but let's not forget that these games can instill energy. That's why I think it was so key for Aldo to finally they get a goal, Damiani to get a brace in this game, because whenever you get an assist or a goal, that's just going to skyrocket your confidence. And so hopefully, as we know with strikers, goals come in bunches. And look, I think Cavan's going to play a big role for the Union this season with Quinn Sullivan out until at least June at the earliest, as he recovers from ACL surgery and goes through that whole recovery. But yeah, I think Cavan brought energy. I think his cutback pass to Damiani was really good vision, which we've seen down with Union too. We knew that Cavan has a high motor. He has good acceleration. He has good speed, and it hasn't always transitioned into the first team. But when this game was as lopsided as it was, I think it was the perfect call to bring in Cavan Sullivan. Where look. Defense Force really doesn't have anything to play for. The Union don't really have to push for anything because they already have multiple goals. And so you can just go out there and play freely. And I think that's exactly what we saw from Cavan on the night.
I think to your point, too, about the pass and the assists, one thing that we talked about this offseason was how do we replace Kai Wagner's 10 assists? And I don't think one player is going to do that. It has to be a collective effort. It has to be Frankie, Cavan, Nathan Harriel, Indy Vaslov, et cetera. So to your point with, goal scorers seeing the goal or the ball go into the back of the net and they get hot off that. The same thing goes with getting assists. You see the field better, you get more energy, you get more minutes, and hopefully the assists will come from a collective effort. But Ben, what were your thoughts on Cavan tonight? Because a lot of people, as much as they agree with Todd in that regard, they were also like, well, maybe you shouldn't put the almost 17-year-old out there in CONCACAF on like a choppy field in a game where he could get injured, and he did get hit pretty hard a couple times.
Yeah, I thought Cavan had a really good game brought into it. I agree, it was the first game where he really kind of broke out onto the scene. Obviously drew the penalty, had an assist, and drew the red card as well. Yeah. But yeah, obviously a dangerous environment going up against a team that Defense Force obviously at home, they needed a result. And yeah, they're obviously going to get frustrated with the way the game turned out. But I thought Cavan did really well. I love the combination on the left side with Frankie and Cavan. I think that's something that's definitely something that Union fans should watch for the next couple of games. But yeah, I think also going ahead, Cavan will most likely start the next leg at home, and that's a game that people should really bookmark.
That's a good point. So, I mean, I guess I can ask this now. We're gonna talk briefly about the DC match. Also want to talk about the PK. I know it was brought up about the Bruno Damiani PK. But what do you think, Ben? Who do you think starting in the starting lineup against Defense Force at Super Park? Because at this point, they really need a miracle to even advance. So you kind of throw in whoever you want next week.
Yeah, I think if I had to guess, I think Andrew Rick will get the start. I think Blake starts on the weekend versus DC, and they'll give Rick the start for Defense Force. In terms of left back, we are very thin now, obviously finalizing a deal for Philippe Ndicka. But yeah, I think most likely Frankie will start there. That's a position that not entirely sure on yet. But yeah, center backs. I could see Sundstrom starting. I thought he looked. I thought he looked really, really good in his brief cameo tonight. Yeah. Not really sure who the other center back was. I do think Harriel will play a role. Probably Bizo as well on the right back. So maybe Harriel there. And then, yeah, I expect Cavan. I think Ben Bender will also get some minutes. He could play at left back.
I was going to say, yeah, he might be. Well, we saw Marbella, Spain. He might be left back. I mean, especially with a game like that.
Yeah, but then I really think up top, just going up top, I think that either Sal Olivas or Eddie Davis hopefully will get a chance. And I would like to see Agustin Anello. I expect him to be a frequent contributor this season, but maybe could give him some confidence, obviously, to get the season going.
Todd, I'm looking at the bench real quick, and I'm pretty sure I saw on the screen that George Marks on the bench today or no?
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
Right? He was.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe he sees some time out there on at Super Park? Because again, in terms of a confidence builder, seeing him play against teams that are not MLS Next Pro could be good for his confidence. But I mean, any thoughts on maybe who do you want to see next week at home?
No, I don't think they really go to George Marks. The only way you see Marks is if you have injuries to either an Andrew Rick or Andre Blake. So in my opinion, I mean, there's no need to really get George Marks involved. But yeah, I think the lineup, you go pretty starter heavy, I would imagine, this weekend against DC United. And
agreed.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a Sal Olivas, an Eddie Davis, a CJ Olney get the start against Defense Force, because you brought in a young player like a Finn Sundstrom. You brought in a young player in Cavan Sullivan. And let's not forget, right, Frankie Westfield's only 20 years old, and I know that he's had a lot more starts than those guys that I just mentioned. But still, I mean, getting that experience for these young guys in this type of competition is vital. And so I think that would do wonders for Sal Olivas or an Eddie Davis. And I said to you guys in a group chat earlier today, we were like, yeah, score predictions for this game. Who do you think is going to score? And I jokingly and said Sal Olivas is going to score a goal coming off the bench. But I kind of meant that too, because I thought that the Union were going to have a lot of possession of the ball in this game. I didn't think that they would be troubled too much. And we saw Sal come off the bench, I think, twice last year for the Union. And
yeah, I think so.
Obviously, Bradley Cornell's a coach that trusts young players, that he has full confidence in young players. And so you're up by 5 goals, and there's no way you blow a 5-goal lead. And so, of course, these players that were on the team last year, they're going to tell you that the full focus is on the game ahead and everything. But don't you think, Mike, don't you think, Ben, that in the back of their head, they're thinking about New York City? What happened in the Eastern Conference semifinal? Don't you think that's in the back of their head? Don't you think they want to come out here and avenge? And I know a regular season game isn't anything like a playoff game. You can't erase that loss. But don't you think they want to come out here and prove something to the fans? But not only that, to themselves, that, hey, look, there was a one-off game against New York City, and this is who we are. So I could see Bradley Cornell going with young guys, going with a regular starting 11 against DC this weekend, going with the younger guys, getting them experience, getting their confidence up. Because, like I said earlier, with the goals that Alado scored, the assist for Cavan, these guys need confidence. And you have so many games, and there's a perfect opportunity to get these guys game time that you maybe weren't expecting to get them game time this early into the season. So, yeah, why not go with a Sal, an Eddie, or a Cavan?
That's a good point. I mean, and going back to Jim Curtin in a second, but looking at next week's match against Defense Force, I mean, I'm thinking it's probably Eddie and Sal up top, CJ Olney and Cavan together as well. if Martinez is cleared to play, Martinez and probably Finn Sundstrom at your center backs. I agree, Ben, with Ben Bender at left back. Might as well test it out. But one of the things that I think bothered me the most with Jim Curtin was that you had players like Andres Pereira sit on the bench, or even Raffanello at times, other players that just didn't get any minutes. And I always thought, God forbid you actually need them one day. They're not going to have any time whatsoever. So, yeah, I agree, Todd. It's moments like this that when you have a 4-5-0 lead, put some guy in that you don't typically, like Sundstrom. Put him in there. Let him get some time. If you're in Leagues Cup and you have won the first group stage ready, yeah, get your guys in there to give them minutes, because not only does it help rest your normal players, your normal starters, but it gives these players a chance to get some confidence. And we saw it with Jesus Bueno back in Leagues Cup, was it 2.5, 3 years ago now. He gets his moment, and when he wasn't playing that much overall throughout the season, he gets a confidence, he gets a contract, and now he's fairly involved in the team's depth. So agreed all around. I'm excited for that match just from a development standpoint. But let's talk about DC United briefly in terms of the lineup we're expecting. Ben, I'll go for you first. Who do you think, everyone included, is your strongest starting 11 right now?
I would probably go. I think that's pretty clear. I think Andre Blake will start.
Sure.
I expect Frankie to start at left back. In the game, the camera did show he was holding like his hamstring a little bit, but he did play through the rest of that. So I think he'll be good to go. I think center backs, I think it's going to be Makanya and Seri Larson.
Okay.
And at right back, I think it's going to be Harriel. They took him out as well as Makanya, so they're going to get them rested, throw them back in versus DC. In the middle, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know the extent of Lukic's injury, but I wouldn't be surprised if he misses one game. I mean, it's just a minor rib injury with what I've seen. So I could see him starting. I could see him not, because I think Bueno had a fantastic game. I think he could definitely slot right back in with Stanley in the middle. I think Olaski and Indy starting as the two cams with Anello off the bench. And yeah, I think Alado and Damiani up top.
Okay. Todd, any thoughts on that? I agree with most of it, but definitely curious what you think as well for the best starting 11 you think for DC.
Yeah, no, nothing on my end that I can dispute. I think that's pretty spot on.
Yeah, I am curious to see if Anello gets a start soon. Maybe he gets a start against Defense Force in that second game. But I do like the thought rather of Indy Vasiliev off the bench, just because he's that high energy guy. He's like the high press, go type of person who can attack a defense when they're tired. So maybe I see a situation where Augustine gets a start over Indy, but I think you're probably right. Indy does. But I would like to see Bueno. If you have a player in Jovan, which you know is going to be someone you're going to lean on for the rest of the season pretty heavily, especially with Danley, rest him up. He's got, I think, a rib injury, right? Rest him up as long as you possibly have to. Let him get through DC. You should be able to handle it without him. Get through the second round of Defense Force. And just what's the next game after that? Is it NYCFC after DC United?
Opener.
Yeah, the home opener, March 1st. I would rather see Jovan fully rested on March 1st and have him there in front of the home crowd. I don't know if you guys caught it too. I believe the announcer called Danley Jovan Jocks. So just another announcer moment there. But last but not least, let's talk about something that was a topic of conversation in the comments. I know some people online had mentioned it too. Bruno Damiani's penalty kick. So when Kevin gets fouled, Todd, I know in our text you said let Kevin take the PK. So what were your thoughts on that whole sequence and then obviously the PK itself?
Yeah, I mean, watching it live, I said this is a clear-cut penalty. I don't know why. I think they were going to give a goal kick. It looked like at first, and then I guess VAR got on and said, "Hey, not so fast. There might be a penalty here." So, yeah, what a mess. And not that it mattered at the end of the day that they gave the Union the penalty kick. They were already up 4 goals at that point, so
yeah,
it didn't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things. And again, Bradley Cornett told us last year that Bruno Damiani is the designated penalty taker when he is on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect that. I have no issues with that. Again, man, Why not? You're up 4 goals. Damiani already has a goal. Why not let Cavan take that? Why not? He earned it.
I mean, okay, well, I'm gonna counter with this by saying last year we saw him with that pretty bad miss. You're talking about building confidence. Maybe this is a time for him to get confidence. But Ben,
100%.
yeah, I mean, Ben, what were your thoughts on the whole sequence again, and also Bruno's PK?
I had the same thought. I thought immediately, I thought it was clear-cut penalty. But yeah, once it actually was called a penalty, I really thought it could have been a chance for Cavan to take it. I understand the decision to go for Damiani. I really think, the decision, obviously, last year, Damiani was the penalty taker with his success with Boston River, especially with penalties. He's going to start out being the penalty taker. But yeah, especially since Cavan drew the penalty, I thought that he had a chance of taking it. I bet Cavan's still waiting to get his first real goal. So definitely a great game from Cavan. So yeah.
Yeah, Valerie mentions in the comments, I was hoping for Cavan to take it. I think most of Union fans were hoping for Cavan to take it. I definitely, I get why Bruno took it. I understand that and respect coach's decision to have Bruno taking them. I am not confident in Bruno Damiani taking penalty kicks yet. I mean, I thought that the one he took today it was hit by the keeper, so it was almost saved, really. I'm not overly confident. I think if I had to pick anybody, if everyone's available to take a PK, I'd probably have Milan take one over everybody. Just my preference there. I think Frankie Westfield has the guts to take it. I think he's actually taken a PK, if I remember correctly, in one of our competitions, and I thought he did fine with it. I don't know what Alado could do in a PK, but I don't know. Bruno's today didn't exactly make me confident. I hope that it gave him confidence and he felt like better afterwards, but I certainly did not. Actually, as I was looking or talking to you guys, I just thought to myself, Jose is the one who started this conversation. Todd, are you able to end the show on your side?
Yeah, I can end it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm making sure because otherwise we're just going to be sitting here until Jose comes back. But listen, the Union take care of Defense Force 5-0. I think overall it was a pretty solid game. It was a good way to start the season. Todd, any last thoughts on this game before we wrap it up?
No, I mean, I think, yes, first and foremost, you want the Union to win this game. They obviously took care of that. But I think the second most important thing is you escape with no injuries. And so we'll see, I guess, tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, so Bradley Carnell has another press conference tomorrow. I think it was slated for 2:30. So I guess we'll get injury updates, see where Jovan is, see where Frankie Westfield is. And, yeah, hopefully everything comes back super positive. Hopefully we get an update on Olivier Bizo because, again, I did think it was a little bit strange that you're using two of your right backs and you have a third one on the roster, but he's nowhere to be found. So, again, maybe for people who are just joining the broadcast, it was said that Jesus Bueno had visa issues and got in later this afternoon, I think they said, and was able to go for tonight. Jonathan Tannenwald reported that Gainer Martinez had visa issues, wasn't able to get into the country. So, yeah, I'm just happy nobody's looked to be too seriously injured, and hopefully everybody's good to go for Saturday in the MLS home season opener against DC.
Yeah, I know, Ben. I think you mentioned it was Westfield's like the thigh or like hamstring area. I know, and the announcer had mentioned the groin. So it'll definitely be Frank. I think Frank is a big one, especially with Kai Wagner no longer being available. If Frankie's gonna be the left back for most of the season, definitely want to make sure he starts the year off healthy. Ben, any last thoughts for you, sir, before we wrap things up?
I thought it was overall slow start to the game, but that's expected with the first professional game. Bradley Carnell probably told him to stay true to the principles early on, slow passes. But yeah, one more thing I will mention is it was in like the 44th minute of the game, I think but Alado had a mistimed header backwards, and it sparked a counterattack for Defense Force, and I noticed that he ran like all the way back, tracking back like 50, 60 yards. So I think that's something to watch this season, that the defending is going to start from the front. Sure. Alado is brought in not only to score goals, but he fits the style in what we look for defending from the front. So yeah, definitely something that I caught that is going to be interesting to see if if it applies to other games down the line.
It's a great catch, and something you want to see from all 11 players. Full effort, 100% of the time. Even if you make a mistake, you're going to get right back up and try to correct it, or at least help out on the other end. Well, first of all, I have to thank Todd Lewis for letting us borrow his. As I entered the show, I was like, "This is AAT Sports being hosted by the Free Kick Pod," and I wasn't going to do your welcome. I tried. I was like, "This doesn't sound right. I can't do it." It's Todd's.
Did you guys get a intro for the show, or did you guys just hit it live?
Jose had the whole video playing. It was, it was great. And then it cut to us. I was like, "Oh, hi."
Wait, it had the free kick video play?
Yeah. I was like, "Hi, this is not the free kick."
When I joined, I was like, I saw that it had the free kick logo on there, the QR code.
I know.
Last one, I was like, what's going on here?
But it's off Jose, as Sexy Hogan mentioned. It's off Jose's channel, but we're using your imagery and intro for the show. So anyway, this is across the pitch again. Free kick. Ben joined us for AAT Sports. Everybody, thanks for joining us in the comments. Todd, I'll shoot it to you to close out the show and call it a day. Good night, everybody.